Hello, and welcome back to COCO Gossip, your number one source for the stories the networks won't tell you. The theory we are unpacking tonight is so wild, so audacious, that we've spent weeks poring over the details. It's a story that alleges Kody and his favorite wife, Robyn, have been systematically selling the family's TV show memorabilia for years, pocketing over $100,000 in a secret side hustle. Before we peel back the layers on this incredible story, if you love getting the inside scoop and diving deeper than anyone else, do me a huge favor. Hit that bright red subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you never miss an update, and give this video a big thumbs up. It tells YouTube you want more content like this, and it helps our COCO Gossip community grow. Your support means the world, and trust me, you are not going to want to miss a second of this investigation. All right, let's get into it. Our story begins not on a cul-de-sac in Las Vegas or on the windswept plains of Coyote Pass, but in the vast, anonymous world of online auctions. For years, a specific eBay store has been a hidden gem for die-hard Sister Wives fans. The seller's name? AZTreasureHunter. AZTreasureHunter was, for a long time, considered the Holy Grail. The items listed were incredibly specific, deeply personal, and authenticated by their appearance on the show. This wasn't just generic merchandise, this was the real deal. Production props, clothing worn by the family members in specific memorable scenes, and even personal items that held deep sentimental value. The sellers' descriptions were always brief, professional, and never gave away their identity. They simply guaranteed authenticity, and with a near-perfect feedback score, buyers trusted them implicitly. Sales were brisk. Over the years, this store has, according to our inside sources, grossed well over $100,000. But as the family fractures started to become gaping canyons, a few dedicated fans, let's call them the Sister Wives sleuths, started to ask a crucial question. Where was AZTreasureHunter getting this stuff? And why did so many of the items for sale seem to be things the original CEOs, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, had mentioned were lost? This is where the story takes its first dark turn. Let's start with one of the most iconic symbols of the Brown family's unity, or at least the performance of unity, the Claddagh ring. The Claddagh ring. It was a symbol of their sisterhood. The hands represent friendship, the heart love, and the crown loyalty. Each of the original wives had one. They even famously went shopping to buy one for Robyn to welcome her into the family. Christine, in particular, was deeply attached to her ring. It was a gift from Meri and Janelle when she joined the family, a tangible piece of their shared history. Now, watch this clip from a few seasons back. It's during the chaos of one of their many, many moves. The family was in disarray, packing up their lives once again. Christine said, "You know, with every move, you lose something. It's inevitable. Little things, big things, but this time, I can't find my Claddagh ring. I've looked everywhere, in every box, every drawer. It's just gone. And it feels like a really bad omen. That ring was about us, the three of us in the beginning, and now it's just vanished, like a piece of our history just disappeared into thin air." Kody said, "Christine's upset about a ring. I get it, it's sentimental. But we've got bigger things to worry about than a piece of jewelry. It probably fell out of a box. It'll turn up, it always does." It never turned up. Christine lamented its loss on social media, telling fans she believed it was lost for good during the move to Flagstaff, a casualty of the constant upheaval. But 2 years ago, an item appeared on the AZTreasureHunter eBay store. The listing was titled, "TV Show Prop Ring, Irish Style, Sterling Silver." The description was vague, but the pictures were crystal clear. To the thousands of fans who had spent years staring at the wives' hands during dramatic conversations, it was unmistakable. The small, unique scuff mark on the band, the specific way the silver had aged. It was Christine's Claddagh ring. The ring sold for $850. A fan, ecstatic, bought it and posted it in a private Facebook group, confirming it was the real deal. But at the time, the assumption was that a production assistant or a crew member must have found it and decided to cash in. The thought that it could be someone inside the family was too monstrous to contemplate. But that was just the beginning. The items kept appearing. Do you remember the grand plans for the one big house on Coyote Pass? Kody's monolithic dream that the wives, particularly Christine, absolutely hated? Kody had a full set of architectural blueprints drafted. He presented them on camera, framed, and ready to be hung in his polygamous palace. That plan, of course, imploded spectacularly. The family never built the house, and in the chaos of the subsequent falling out and property disputes, those framed blueprints just disappeared. Janelle mentioned in a casual online Q&A that she had no idea where they ended up, assuming Kody had them in storage or had thrown them out in a fit of pique. Well, guess what showed up on AZTreasureHunter 6 months ago? The listing was for the original screen-used framed blueprints for the Vegas homes. Not Coyote Pass, but the 4 homes they built in the Las Vegas cul-de-sac. A piece of Brown family history, a monument to a time when they were a united front, building a life together. They sold for a staggering $2,500. The buyer was a collector of reality TV memorabilia who had no idea of the personal significance, only their value as a prop. But the real theft, the one that online investigators point to as the most heartless, involves the children. Over the years, countless outfits worn by the 18 Brown children in iconic scenes have appeared on the AZTreasureHunter store. A little floral dress worn by Truly during a family picnic in Season 4. A tiny superhero t-shirt worn by Solomon on his first day of school. A hoodie frequently worn by Gabe in his teenage confessionals, each sold for between $50 and $200. Think about that. These are not just props. These are the clothes of their children, childhood memories packed away in boxes that the OG wives likely assumed were safely in storage, waiting for grandchildren. Instead, according to this theory, they were being systematically cataloged, photographed, and sold off by a secret family member. The betrayal here isn't just about the money, it's about the erasure of a shared past. For years, the identity of AZTreasureHunter remained a mystery. The profits piled up and the sentimental history of the Brown family was scattered across the country, sold to the highest bidder. But then, the seller got sloppy, and a few eagle-eyed fans started to connect the dots. This is where the theory moves from speculation to what some are calling cold, hard evidence. The first major clue came from the shipping details. A fan in Ohio purchased a small prop from the show, a decorative plate that was often visible in the background of Meri's Vegas home. When the package arrived, the fan, a longtime member of the Sister Wives sleuths community, did something brilliant. She looked at the return address. It wasn't a home address, of course, that would be too obvious. The return address was a P.O. box, specifically a P.O. box located at a UPS store in Flagstaff, Arizona. Now, a P.O. box is designed for anonymity, but in the digital age, very little is truly anonymous. The fan posted a picture of the return address in a private forum. The sleuths got to work, and what they allegedly uncovered is the first bombshell in this story. They ran a public records search for businesses registered in Flagstaff, Arizona, cross-referencing names associated with the Brown family, and they got a hit. The P.O. box, according to this report, was registered to a small, unassuming LLC, an LLC that was established shortly after the family moved to Flagstaff. The name of that LLC? According to the insiders who have pieced this together, it was R&K Consulting Services. On its own, that means nothing, but the registered agent and principal member listed on that LLC's public filing was none other than Robyn Alice Brown. Suddenly, it all started to make a horrifying kind of sense. The seller was based in Arizona, the timeline matched up, and now there was a direct documented link between the shipping point of these lost family treasures and Robyn Brown's own registered business. We have to be clear here, this is what the online investigation has pieced together from public records. It's a compelling link, but it's not definitive proof. However, it was enough to make the fan community look at Robyn and Kody in a completely new light. They started re-examining years of footage looking for clues. Why would Robyn, who always presented herself as the ultimate defender of the family, be secretly selling its history? And why would Kody, the patriarch who preached loyalty and legacy above all else, allow it? The answer, as is so often the case with this family, appears to come down to two things: money and control. Think about the financial state of the family. The move from Las Vegas to Flagstaff was a financial catastrophe. They struggled to sell their Vegas homes, draining their savings on rentals and mortgages for empty houses. They poured money into the Coyote Pass property, which for years remained an undeveloped money pit. Janelle was forced to live in an RV. Christine had to fight to get the funds to buy her own home in Utah. All the while, Kody and Robyn were living in a $1 million home, seemingly unaffected by the financial strain that was crushing the rest of the family. Where was their money coming from? The show's income, yes, but the other wives got a share of that too. This report suggests a secret, off-the-books income stream, an income stream generated by selling off the assets of the very people who were struggling. It's a narrative of taking items from Christine's garage during a move, from Janelle's storage unit, from boxes of production materials that belonged to the entire family, and converting them into private cash. The theory alleges that the constant chaos of their lives, especially the multiple frantic moves, provided the perfect cover. In a scene from season 17, we see Christine finally getting Kody to move his stuff out of her garage. He has boxes and boxes of things he's stored at her house for years. Kody said, "I don't actually have a space of my own. I don't have a place to put this. I don't have a corner." He complains about having his things spread across 4 houses. This theory posits that this wasn't just disorganization. It was an opportunity. While removing his own boxes, what was to stop him, or Robyn, from taking a few extra? A box of old photos, a bin of the kids' old clothes, Christine's lost jewelry box. In the whirlwind of a move, who would ever notice? Christine herself said she just wanted to get rid of stuff and move with less. It was the perfect smokescreen. The other wives were led to believe these precious items were simply gone, lost to the chaos Kody himself had created. They were grieving the loss of sentimental objects, while the objects themselves were allegedly being bubble-wrapped and shipped out from a Flagstaff P.O. box tied to Robyn. But the most damning piece of evidence, the clue that turned this from a fan theory into a full-blown shadow scandal, wasn't found in a public database. It was found in the reflection on a piece of packing tape. This, my friends, is what insiders are calling the smoking gun. In the world of true crime, there's always a moment where the culprit makes a fatal mistake, a moment of hubris, of carelessness that brings the whole house of cards crashing down. According to the Sister Wives sleuths, Robyn Brown's moment came courtesy of a smartphone camera and a piece of shiny plastic. About a year ago, a buyer in Texas won a particularly coveted item from the AZTreasureHunter store. It was a large, decorative wooden sign that read Brown Family, which had been a centerpiece prop during the family's televised commitment ceremony in season 6. It was a one-of-a-kind item, seen in one of the most significant episodes in the show's history. The buyer was, understandably, thrilled. When the large, carefully packed box arrived, she decided to do an unboxing video to share with her fellow fans. She took a series of high-resolution photos of the packaging before she opened it, wanting to document every moment, and she posted one of those photos online. It was a simple, innocuous picture of the top of the sealed cardboard box. At first, nobody noticed anything unusual. It was just a box. But one of the most dedicated sleuths, a woman with a background in digital photo analysis, zoomed in. She was looking at the way the box was taped, and that's when she saw it. On the glossy surface of the wide packing tape, just to the left of the shipping label, was a faint, distorted reflection. The light in the room where the package was sealed must have been just right. The angle of the camera, perfect, because there, reflected on the tape, was the ghostly image of a person leaning over the box to seal it. It was a woman with long, dark hair, her face concentrated as she pressed the tape down. The sleuth ran the image through enhancement software, clarifying the pixels, adjusting the contrast, and sharpening the details. And as the image became clearer, a collective gasp was heard across the Sister Wives fan community. The face, though distorted by the curved and crinkled surface of the tape, was unmistakable. The distinct jawline, the shape of the nose, the dark, familiar eyes. It was Robyn Brown. There she was, the secret seller, caught in the act by her own reflection. The woman who cried on camera about the family falling apart, the woman who positioned herself as Kody's loyal, loving partner, was, according to this stunning photographic evidence, the one literally packing up the family's history and mailing it away for cash. The discovery of the smoking gun photo, as it's now called, sent shockwaves through the online community. It recontextualized everything. Every lost item, every tear shed by the OG wives over a misplaced heirloom was now seen through the lens of this ultimate betrayal. This theory paints a picture of a long-running, petty, and incredibly lucrative scheme. It alleges that Kody and Robyn weren't just emotionally abandoning the family, they were literally selling it out the back door. The win for the ex-wives, should this ever be proven true, is not just the discovery of another hidden income stream, it's the validation, the proof that the things they lost, the sentimental possessions they were made to feel careless for misplacing during moves they never wanted to make, weren't lost at all. They were stolen and sold by the wife who got everything and the husband who left them with nothing. This report changes the entire narrative of the show. It suggests that while Meri, Janelle, and Christine were fighting for scraps of Kody's time and affection, Robyn was busy curating their past, assigning it a price tag, and building her own private nest egg. It's a level of betrayal that is almost too shocking to comprehend. We have so much more to unpack. What were the most valuable items sold? How did this alleged scheme escalate after Christine and Janelle left the family? And what are the potential legal ramifications of selling assets that were, for all intents and purposes, joint family property? The story of AZTreasureHunter is far from over. The evidence laid out there is the foundation for everything we are about to discuss. Because now we move beyond the what and the how, and we dive into the why. Why would Kody and Robyn allegedly commit such a deep personal betrayal? What were the most valuable and heartbreaking items sold in this secret venture? And how did the departure of Christine, Janelle, and Meri change the game, allegedly turning this covert side hustle into an all-out fire sale of the family's legacy? Before we dive in, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You've made it this far into the rabbit hole with us, and we promise to be your guide as we go even deeper. Your support helps us bring these exclusive theories to light. Now let's get back to the secret sale of the Brown family history. The immediate assumption for a scheme like this is simple greed. And yes, according to our insider sources, the money was significant. Over $100,000 is not a small sum, especially for a family that has consistently made baffling and disastrous financial decisions. That money could easily cover the mortgage on their $1 million Flagstaff home for a year, pay for Victoria's Secret shopping sprees, or fund Kody's endless supply of hair products and sports cars. But the theory that has emerged from the Sister Wives sleuths community is far more complex and sinister than simple cash grabbing. This wasn't just about money, it was about power, control, and the methodical rewriting of history. Think about Robyn's role in the family from the very beginning. She was positioned as the sweet, compliant wife who just wanted a big family and a loving sisterhood. Yet time and time again, her actions seemed to centralize power and resources around herself and her children. The other wives were consistently asked to sacrifice their time, their relationships with Kody, their financial security, for the good of the family, which more often than not meant for the good of Robyn. This alleged eBay scheme is the ultimate manifestation of that pattern. It's the monetization of the other wives' pain and memories. Let's look at the psychology that could be at play here. When you sell someone's personal sentimental item, you are not just selling an object. You are taking their memory, their history, and declaring that it has no value beyond what a stranger is willing to pay for it. You are, in effect, erasing their significance. Sources close to the investigation believe this was a two-pronged attack. For Robyn, it was about becoming the sole keeper of the Brown family legacy. By taking possession of and selling off the tangible symbols of the family's history with the other wives, she was effectively curating a new history, one that starts and ends with her. The Claddagh rings represented the original three wives' bond. Sell them. The blueprints for the Vegas homes they built together. Sell them. The memories of the OG kids' childhoods. Sell them, piece by piece, until the only history left in that big house on the hill is the history she shares with Kody. It's a quiet, insidious form of historical revisionism. She wasn't just Kody's last wife, she was positioning herself to be his only wife in the historical record of the family. And what about Kody? Where does he fit into this? Kody's motivation, as theorized by insiders, is rooted in his profound and well-documented narcissism. To Kody, the entire Sister Wives saga is his story. He is the sun, and the wives are merely planets that once orbited him. In his mind, he gave them a life, he gave them a show, he gave them a platform. Therefore, the fruits of that platform, including the memorabilia and history created along the way, belong to him. This theory suggests that Kody wouldn't see this as theft. He would see it as collecting what he is owed. He would see Christine's ring not as a symbol of her bond with Meri and Janelle, but as an asset he provided her with by allowing her into the family in the first place. He would see the children's clothing not as precious memories, but as a wardrobe from his television production. It's a chilling perspective, but one that aligns perfectly with the man we have seen on our screens for over a decade. A man who demands unwavering loyalty but offers none in return, a man who sees family as a kingdom and himself as the king. This mindset, this toxic combination of Robyn's alleged desire for historical supremacy and Kody's deep-seated narcissism, is what allegedly allowed this scheme to flourish. But it wasn't just small trinkets and old clothes. As their confidence grew, so did the price tags. Let's talk about the big-ticket items, the sales that took AZTreasureHunter from a quirky fan secret to a seriously profitable enterprise. Every long-running show has its holy grail props. For Star Trek, it's a phaser. For Friends, it's the orange couch. For Sister Wives, the items that hold the most weight are the ones that symbolize the family's covenants and commitments, and, according to the reports we have followed, Kody and Robyn sold them all. Let's start with the Brown family commitment tree. Do you remember this? Season 6. The family was trying to heal from the turmoil of the divorce from Meri and legal adoption of Robyn's children. They held a commitment celebration where they drafted a family mission statement and created a piece of art to symbolize their unity. It was a large canvas painting of a tree, and every single member of the family, all 18 children and 5 adults, dipped their hands in paint and placed them on the branches as leaves. It was a deeply symbolic, if somewhat cheesy, moment. Kody declared it a priceless family heirloom, a testament to their eternal bond. After the ceremony, the commitment tree was hung in the entryway of one of the Vegas homes and was seen in the background for years. When the family moved to Flagstaff, it was allegedly wrapped carefully and put into a climate-controlled storage unit for safekeeping. The OG wives assumed it was being preserved, waiting for the day they would finally have a single-family home to display it in once more. They were wrong. 18 months ago, a listing appeared on AZTreasureHunter. The title was discreet: large modern folk art painting, handprints, TV prop. There was no mention of the Brown family in the description. It simply said it was a unique piece of art used in a popular reality show. But the photos were undeniable. There was Kody's large handprint at the base, and the cascade of smaller prints from the children. The price? A staggering $5,000. It was purchased by a modern art collector in California who, sources say, had no idea of its history and simply liked the aesthetic. $5,000 for a piece of art that was meant to represent their unbreakable family bond. While Christine was begging Kody for the emotional support to stay, and Janelle was crunching numbers trying to figure out how to afford the move, Kody and Robyn were allegedly selling the very symbol of their family's mission statement to the highest bidder. The hypocrisy is breathtaking, but that, shockingly, is not the most audacious sale we have uncovered in this investigation. The next one is so personal, so deeply violating that it's hard to even talk about. We're talking about wedding dresses. Before the show, before the fame and the money, there were 3 weddings. Meri, Janelle, and Christine each married Kody in simple ceremonies. Their dresses weren't extravagant designer gowns, but they were theirs. They were the symbols of the day they committed their lives to this man and this principle. For years, the wives had their dresses carefully preserved in garment bags. They were tangible links to their youth, to the hope and optimism they once felt. According to a source who was once close to the family during the move to Flagstaff, Robyn offered to take the 3 original wedding dresses to a special preservationist she knew to have them professionally cleaned and sealed for long-term storage. She presented it as a kind, sisterly gesture, a way to protect their shared heritage. The wives, overwhelmed with the stress of the move, gratefully agreed. They never saw their dresses again. For the past 3 years, 3 separate listings have appeared on the AZTreasureHunter store. They were not listed as Sister Wives memorabilia. That would be too obvious. They were listed under the vintage and antique clothing category. Vintage 1990s modest long-sleeve wedding gown. sold for $200. The measurements and unique lace pattern on the collar were a perfect match for Meri's dress. Prairie-style 1990s country wedding dress, sold for $950. The distinctive puffed sleeves and simple cut were identical to photos from Janelle's wedding day. Custom beaded A-line 90s wedding gown, sold for $1,500. Fans who have analyzed photos from Christine and Kody's wedding have identified the specific, intricate beadwork on the bodice. Can you imagine the level of cold, calculated deception required to pull this off? To look your sister wife in the eye, promise to care for the most sacred garment she owns, and then turn around and sell it online like it's a dusty antique? This theory alleges that Robyn didn't just sell props or trinkets. She sold the very fabric of her sister wives' most cherished memories. This goes beyond a side hustle. This is a psychological demolition. And it brings us to the most recent and perhaps most frantic phase of the alleged scheme, the post-divorce fire sale. When Christine announced she was leaving Kody in 2021, it was a seismic event that shattered the family. It was followed by Janelle's departure and then Meri's. The facade of the happy plural family was utterly destroyed. For most people, this would be a time of grief and reflection. But according to this report, for Kody and Robyn, it was a business opportunity. Once the other wives were gone, anything they left behind, in garages and shared storage units in the corners of the Coyote Pass property, was allegedly considered abandoned. The pretense was over. The covert operation became a brazen liquidation. The frequency of new listings on the AZTreasureHunter store reportedly doubled in the year after Christine left. It became a fire sale. Items that were deeply and identifiably personal to the ex-wives began to appear. A distinctive turquoise necklace Janelle often wore in her confessionals, a set of hand-painted Christmas ornaments that Meri had showcased on her social media, even a quilt that was known to have been a gift from Christine's mother. It was as if Kody and Robyn were purging every last trace of the other women from their lives and profiting from it in the process. This theory posits that this was a final act of dominance and revenge, a way of saying, you left. Fine, but your history, your legacy, everything you built here, that belongs to us. And we will sell it because it means nothing to us beyond its cash value. It's a level of pettiness that is almost cartoonishly villainous, yet it tracks with the bitterness and rage we've seen from Kody in recent seasons. He lost control of his wives, so he allegedly exerted control over their possessions, their memories. So, with all of this laid out, the question becomes, what happens now? Can they get away with it? We consulted with a legal expert who specializes in family law and asset division to understand the potential ramifications of this alleged scheme. The situation is, as you might imagine, incredibly messy. First, there's the issue of ownership. In a typical divorce, marital assets are divided, but the Brown situation was anything but typical. With one legal marriage and 3 spiritual unions, defining shared marital property is a legal nightmare. However, our expert suggested that because the family operated as a single financial entity for decades, pooling their income from the show to buy property and support the entire family, a strong case could be made that most of their possessions were, in fact, shared assets. If that's the case, selling them without the consent of the other partners and keeping the profits would constitute fraudulent misappropriation of assets. Second, there's the element of outright theft. While it would be hard to prove Kody stole from a house he technically co-owned, items that were personal gifts to the wives, like jewelry or the quilt from Christine's mother, could absolutely be considered their sole property. Taking and selling those items is just plain theft. Third, there's the production company, TLC. Many of the items sold, like the commitment ceremony sign or the architectural blueprints, could be argued to be production props owned by the network. If Kody and Robyn sold property that belonged to TLC, they could be in breach of their contract and potentially face legal action from the company that made them famous. And finally, there's the simplest and perhaps most dangerous issue of all: taxes. Over $100,000 in income from an online store is not something that the IRS tends to ignore. If this income was not declared, Kody and Robyn could be facing a federal investigation for tax evasion, which carries penalties far more severe than a family squabble. Just before we started filming part 2, we received a new tip from one of our most trusted inside sources. An anonymous party, allegedly acting on behalf of one of the ex-wives, has reportedly compiled a full dossier on the AZTreasureHunter store, including the P.O. Box connection, the smoking gun photo, and a full list of sold items, and has submitted it to eBay's fraud department and to their own legal counsel. The reckoning, it seems, may have already begun. So, where does this leave us? We are left with a story, an insider report, that paints a portrait of the ultimate reality TV betrayal. A story of two people so consumed by greed and a desire to control the narrative that they allegedly sold their family's soul, one eBay listing at a time. It suggests that while Christine, Janelle, and Meri were mourning the loss of their family, their husband and sister-wife were in the next room, bubble wrapping their memories and selling them for shipping costs. The win for the ex-wives here, if the story is ever confirmed, is a painful but powerful one. It's the final, undeniable proof that the erosion of the family wasn't a shared failure. It was a targeted demolition. It is the ultimate validation for every time they felt unseen, unheard, and undervalued. Their sentimental possessions weren't lost. They were liquidated. Their history wasn't forgotten. It was sold to the highest bidder. This alleged secret reveals the foundational rot that brought the Brown family to its knees. It wasn't about polygamy. It was about pathology. We have presented the theory as it has been pieced together by a dedicated community of viewers and insiders. It is a shocking and disturbing narrative, and it raises more questions than it answers. What do you think? Is this story too wild to be true, or does it perfectly explain the financial and emotional dynamics we've seen play out on our screens for years? What do you believe is the single most unforgivable item that was allegedly sold? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The conversation is just beginning. Thank you for joining us for this special investigation here at COCO Gossip. We will continue to follow this story and bring you any updates as they become available. Until next time, remember that the most shocking secrets are often the ones hidden in plain sight.